welcome to the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. This is your host, Scotty B. Friends, I am happy to say that I have a very special guest today who is returning to the show, a boomerang guest, very, very talented writer and cosplayer. I could go through all of the accolades, but of course we will show you the video in the description for the original interview that we had with this wonderfully talented person that will be on the show, and we are going to be talking about a very, very special project today with her return. Friends, Miss Greene in the library, welcome back to the show. Shelly, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back. It's been a minute.
Yes, I'm so glad we had a little bit of time to talk before, and it was really good to hear from you. I do have an episode coming out a little later this month that will be talking about something related to what you've been working on, and I'm going to get all of the names wrong, and you will have to correct me, and that's totally fine because that's just the way that these shows work. You have adapted and brought a group together for A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I have not had the privilege of reading this book or the series or the things that Miss Maas has done, but your version of this, your group, this fantastic and amazing project, and really quite epically, it's just an epic proportion, and the group out in Utah and all the things that you're doing to promote and to bring this to life, and all of the work that's being done. This is quite amazing. This is fantastic, friends. If you have to take a look at this. Court of Salt and Snow is what it's called, and we will get to all of the things, but I would love to lead us. I guess first, would love to hear how things have been since you've been on the show. And then we will get into all of the things about this just amazing project that you're working on.
Things have been busy, but that's kind of life in general. Work keeps me busy. Yes. All my crazy projects keep me busy. I have too much free time. So I'm going to start a whole cosplay troupe because that sounds like it won't take any time at all and will be super easy.
Oh, no, it's very straightforward.
Yeah, I have not been the best about posting of late, and I'm excited to be getting back into that more. So there's the ACOTAR project, obviously, which is the abbreviation for A Court of Thorns and Roses. But in addition to that, of course, I have all my other cosplay projects, and I just don't do one thing. Apparently that would be too easy. So I'm like, of course I need to have 12 things going at the same time.
I would like to get a little bit, because again, I'm a little bit of a newbie in terms of A Court of Thorns and Roses. So if you could just give us kind of like the lay of the land, the overview of what it is all about. I know it is a fantasy genre, and it has these wonderful just very vivid characters and characterizations.
ACOTAR is a 5-book series at this point. The series itself is not completed. We make a few jokes about this in our group, but it's spicy, very
spicy. Okay.
Romance novels. So yes, it's definitely spicy.
So some intrigue, I guess, between the characters.
It's definitely on the romance side of things, but there's just these wonderful characters and such a fun story, and the ACOTAR community at large is just so passionate about these books, and it's so amazing to see how excited and invested people are getting in just different areas for this series. And just because as much as I enjoyed these books, those other areas weren't necessarily the ways in which I would contribute to the conversation as a fan of the book. So that's where got into my head, hey, what if I contributed on the side that I can add something to? And that's where I started talking with my friend Chandra. We do a volunteer cosplay event out in Idaho. It's this superhero adventure days. It's a lot of fun. Basically, we go and be superheroes for a couple of days for little kids, and it's a blast. And
who was your go-to last time?
I was Black Widow last year, and she was Nebula. And so we just we're absolutely exhausted after this trip, but on the drive back, I'm like, so what if? And she's very good at being both incredibly encouraging and also coming to the table with the, hey, Shelly, maybe don't try to do 5,000 things at the same time, and maybe don't jump 10 miles down the road. And I'm like, so you're saying I need to start at ground zero and work there? That sounds like a lot of work. I want to just be there already. Let's just dive in.
The Instagram page is at A Court of Salt and Snow, and
Yes.
there are more than just two players. There's a huge cast of characters involved in this project and these ongoing events and just different things that are going to be scheduled, which we will get to later in the show. So please keep watching, keep listening, because we are going to give you all the details about where to go to find tickets and all of these fun things. But the group, you have many players and you have your own character and characters.
Yeah.
You're Nesta Archeron, if I say that right.
You
But
did.
yeah, tell me a little bit about how you reached out or how you found the people that are currently involved, how many people are involved, and tell us about your character and what you are doing with this just amazing project.
It's kind of just start small of different Utah cosplay groups of kind of just like casting post type of things of going, hey, anybody fit these descriptions and have an interest? And we found a couple of people that way. Actually brought on board after my friend Chandra. The next person that came on board was my friend Nora, who is actually our High Lady, the main character from the series, Feyre Archeron.
Mhm.
And she is kind of the third in our group of organizers that run the troupe. She is our costume aficionado. What she does for work is she's actually makes costumes for a local theater. So she is used to drafting patterns, all of her dresses and everything that way. She's both designing them and making them from scratch, as well as putting together concept sketches for other characters, helping these our other cosplayers either source items or providing them with some recommendations of both colors and designs and fabrics, just because a big part of what we wanted coming in is to have a cohesive feeling of when we do these pictures, when we do events, that when people see us, we look like we belong to the same world. So that was very important to us from the get-go of we really wanted to just come at the costumes from that big picture level of, hey, does this work together? Does this fit together? And she has been doing such a wonderful job helping us get there.
You almost treat this like a theater performance. I mean, everybody kind of has their role, their tasks. There's a lot of continuity, so there's not just everybody kind of running in all sorts of different directions. Do you get together on a regular basis locally, and like, do you have like practice, or do you have time set aside where everybody gets together and works on the project, or is it a little bit more segmented and you kind of do things at your own pace and in your own spaces individually?
It's kind of been a combination. We've gathered together as a group a couple of times. Actually, we have a group in person in character rehearsal scheduled for March. I'm writing basically a murder mystery game because it's the best way I could think of to give us a setting to be our characters for an extended period of time. So I'm creating a murder mystery game with all of our characters in the world for us to get together. We had a solstice party back in December where it was kind of just a holiday party, but we got together, those of us that were available, played some games. It was kind of like a Cards Against Humanities or voting game or never have I ever sort of situations as our characters, and it was just hilarious, and we had such a good time that evening. But yeah, so it's just really taking opportunities to get comfortable with one another and develop the skill sets we'll need to bring the most we can to these characters. Even to the point that we've done a couple of dance lessons.
Oh,
So that
like folk dance, or what kind of
like
dance?
ballroom dance.
Ballroom
Yeah.
dancing. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of us in the group have ballroom backgrounds. So we're trying to help one another to have some of those basic fundamentals for the event in May.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, I mean, this is a heart and soul project. This is performance over and above cosplay, which is just, it's so many moving pieces. It's so much to like think about, a little bit overwhelming, I guess. If you're a beginner cosplay, you do not have to start here, but it is it is something very cool once you get your feet into the cosplay community to be able to be a part of something like this. And just outside of going to conventions and being part of community events, being able to actually create your own community event, create your own characters, and you do a lot of the writing. You're writing a murder mystery, which is no easy task. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things to just watch on the Amazons and on the Netflix is usually something in that genre. I love a whodunit. And they're really fun to go to. So when you say that you're going to have a big event coming up, I think I mentioned, we talked about, or at least I saw the Starfall Ball come up in the posts. But you actually have something on bookboundevents.com to actually book tickets, and you
Yes,
can get people going to this. This is going to be in May, right?
Yes, we have a partnership for an event in May with the event company Bookbound Events, and they are doing a 2-day fantasy book event. So like the first day they are having this tea party, and later in the day they're doing a scavenger hunt, a book themed scavenger hunt around downtown Salt Lake City, to different like bookstores and different shops around the city for those who are coming to the event to kind of get to see these fun different spots. And then the following day there is the Starfall Ball, which is a book themed ball where everyone comes, you dress as fancy as you would like. Most people will probably be in ball gowns.
Wow.
And
okay. So this is a formal event. This is where the ballroom dancing comes into play.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that there's the ball. And then for a subset of attendees who buy the inner circle tickets, so basically the VIP tickets for the event, there is an after party after the ball. And Bookbound Events has gotten the location that they have is a very popular bar downtown called the Lake Effect.
Mm-hmm.
The basement of that bar is called the Rabbit Hole, and it's this very atmospheric location. It's got like old smoking chairs. It's just a very moody aesthetic. It's gorgeous. I've seen some of the pictures, and several months ago I got into contact with Bookbound Events and pitched the idea to them of making this event a more immersive experience for their attendees. So our entire troupe will be there over the course of the 2 days as our characters interacting with the guests.
I'm interested to hear about the tea party. Do you know much about how that's going to go? I mean, is it more of like a social, everybody can kind of sit down and it's tea time for the whole group, or how does that work?
I don't necessarily have all the details, but what's been conveyed to me is this is kind of like the opening event. So everyone's coming in, they receive a gift of some kind. I don't know what goes into that because that's on Bookbound's side. But everyone has their little gift bag or box or whatever it is. Everyone settles in. It's an opportunity to get to know your fellow attendees. And a lot of what's going on during that time, it's going to be like book discussions while you're having a formal tea. And some of the characters will be there during this event with them. I've also heard rumor from Bookbound of kind of the book friend equivalent of speed dating will be happening at this. So just that opportunity for this community to just further grow. Of they come in, maybe somebody came all by themselves, but over the course of the weekend, they have opportunities to just get to know and bond with other people who share this interest.
This is taking a step away from the social media aspect of cosplay and performance and all of these things. Like, it's part of it, but the real thing is like, it's actual people actually getting together with cosplay in a space and talking about fandom, talking about things that they love inside of a book, which means you had to get a book, like you had to get, you know, something that was written down, which we don't do very much anymore because, sorry, I'm just pitching Inferno a little bit.
I'm pro X-Men, you're all good.
I should have gotten a copy of one of the books of Court and Thorns and Roses. Sorry if I now that I'm thinking about it, you know, it would have been really great if I just bought the set and had it for the show. It's just fantastic that everybody gets to get together and discuss their thoughts and just the inner workings. Is it limited to a genre, or can you know, do people kind of as they're going through, you know, the day one events and just talking to people, do you think it's going to be more an everything and anything fantasy, or do you think it's going to be pretty much everybody's there to talk about Sarah J. Maas's work, kind of almost like a Game of Thrones sort of get together where everybody's like, this is, you know, Court of Thorns and Roses talk, and we're gonna dive deep into the characters and into the inner workings of, you know, the mind of the author and all of these fantastic things that she came up with for just what she's described and the universe that she's created.
The event itself is not specifically ACOTAR. I do know that is definitely a fandom which the creators absolutely love. So I am sure there will be plenty of ACOTAR discussion, but all of fantasy will be on the table. Of people might start on ACOTAR and then migrate over to Lord of the Rings, or some of Holly Black's works, just all of those different areas of fantasy. And I think it's just going to be the opening the door, and then it just kind of turns into Pandora's box of all of this love for all of these different areas of fantasy is just going to come pouring out. And let's be honest, it might not even just stick to fantasy, because a good portion of the target audience probably absolutely loves things like Jane Austen. So maybe some Pride and Prejudice will make its way into the conversation.
I mean, there's so much to choose from, and I think people forget about that. Like, we're kind of funneled into the world of the MCU, the DCU, whatever's coming out on Netflix. Like, we get kind of caught up with the mainstream of everything, and I do cover this just a little bit in some episodes that are coming up. But the nice thing about something like this is that you don't have to. You can kind of go in different directions, and that's the great part of the novels in general, and creating characters based on a book instead of based on something that's already been, you know, very, very detailed in a movie, and you're following that exact archetype, or you're buying it. That you have the interpretation, and everybody has a little bit of a different perspective, and you can come together and share all of that. And what a great way to do that, except like this, a completely immersive event. And I'm very curious now that I've kind of had a chance to get excited about this myself, and just all of the wonderful things that I've been scrolling through over the last couple of days, getting ready to talk to you about this. Is there, like, from your perspective, what is your mission, or what is the goal of your group for this event, to be able to interact with each other and with the people at the event? So you're putting on your version of a character, your Nesta Archeron,
Yep.
Archeron, and everyone has a role, and you're all familiar with the source material, you're all familiar with your own material. So how do you want things like, what will your pace be? What will your characterization be for the event?
Oh, specifically for Nesta?
For Nesta, yes.
So, a little background on Nesta. She is one of those characters that is very divisive. You have a segment of the fandom that absolutely loves her, and then a very large portion that absolutely despises her. And both have merit. She is, while she's not a villain, she is a very complex character with some pretty extreme character flaws. She's not the nicest person, and she definitely struggles with mental health issues. And honestly, like, reading the series, there are so many wonderful characters, but reading Nesta, there's just such a depth to this character that she truly appealed to me.
Mm-hmm.
So she will be an interesting one to portray, because I am a rather smiley person by nature, and she is not. She's a individual that is difficult to love, but for those she does care about, she cares very deeply and will go to the ends of the world for those people. She also has a tendency to react very poorly in situations and cause lots of problems. So she's a individual who is hard to love, but for those that love her and she loves back, is probably one of the most caring and devoted individuals you can find once you get past a very hard outer shell. So me specifically, I will most likely have to be rather standoffish and often not the most nice, but a lot of what goes into that is, it really depends on who you're interacting with. Because like when you're interacting with guests, somebody who comes up to you and wants to interact with this character, so much of it comes from just reading people and gauging the kind of interaction they actually want.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's going to be the people who don't like Nesta, and they're going to want to kind of have that back and forth. And then there's going to be people who just absolutely love Nesta and want to come up and be BFFs. And you definitely just have to gauge what you bring to the interaction based on what you're feeling from those individuals. There are definitely characters that are much more on the warm and fuzzy side. I just will not be one of them.
That is expected in some cases, because this is the character. So people going to the event, I think they have to kind of keep that in mind, is that you have players, and there are definitely some reactions and interactions that will occur that might not be just the most pleasant in all aspects. Like, every character is going to be a little bit different, and I think the just the way that people can interact, and there will probably be other folks that will be dressing up quite a bit for the event, who will not be part of the group but will still want to, I think, engage in some ways. I think that that's just like a very fun and unique thing that can happen at these sorts of events. It's almost like a Renaissance fair, where everybody, there's an option for everybody coming, and then you have your players who are kind of spread out amongst the crowd and inside of the event, and they have that inside track on what's coming and what's going on, and how all of the pieces of everything are being put together. And of course, you're doing so much of that, coordinating on so much of that, and just being so involved in this. Again, it's just an amazing amount of work that you've taken on, in addition to just everything that you already have going on, Shelley. It's always great to have you on, because there's always just all like you when you think that something can't be outdone, and then she outdoes it, and you're like, wow, like she's already winning awards on all of these things, and here she is just completely blowing everything away one more time. Have there been many like what would you say has challenged you the most with this project in terms of putting everything together?
Managing a group of like 15 people. I am an introvert 100%. And so sometimes just like the level of out there I have to put myself at, the all the different things I have to keep in mind and be aware of, and how they're going to factor into things down the road. I can't look at this as, oh, this event in May is the end of the road, that is the finish line, that's where we're going. I have to look big picture on everything. Of I have to assume success of something, and okay, well then what is next?
Mhm.
Just like, from cons, you go to a con, and after a con there's just that kind of the post-con depression.
Mhm.
Yes. And it's like,
Where do I
I'm
go next?
aware that we are a group of, oh, are we 14 or 15? Somewhere in that ballpark. If we just went to this event and viewed that as that is the finish line, we've gotten to that point, that's where you'd be in real jeopardy of everything you've worked for falling apart. You've got to look forward and be like, okay, well then what's next? Because you've got to keep that momentum, or else your audience loses interest, your group loses interest. And all of those things are the type of things you just kind of have to keep in the back of your mind and consider and plan for. And so even though I'm sitting here painting props for a photo shoot next weekend, and sewing my dress for May and all of these things, I'm also going, okay, well, I have this and that coming up, but what are the next steps? How do we continue? Because I would very much love for this to be something that just keeps growing. I think there's a lot of room to grow. This fandom is growing like crazy. Honestly, I feel like the best comparison for just like the level of interest and popularity that this book series is gaining is probably Twilight. Like, just how big and how into it so many people became is very much something that ACOTAR is following in the footsteps of. It has its audience. That audience just keeps growing, and everyone in that audience is just so passionate about it.
So it is a court of thorns and roses. The group is a court of salt of salt and snow. The event will be available on bookboundevents.com. It's going to be a unique experience for the Starfall Ball coming up in May. I don't have quite all of the details there, but I will say, before I ask some of my final questions for you, Shelley, that we definitely want to support the group. One thing I did want to talk about is you, it looks like you've done filming. It looks like you've done some on-location shoots in your area or around your area. Just wanted to see if that was the case, and if that's kind of part of, or it will be part of the ongoing build for the group, Akosis, and in terms of the larger body of work that's been gaining so much popularity recently.
This has been a wild winter out here, so it is not being very cooperative for outdoor shoots at the moment. But we recently had the opportunity to shoot at the Utah Art Castle. They are affiliated with the Utah Art Alliance, and it's a really great location. I think it's a church building from like the early 18 or 1900s, and it is such a fun building, and it has so much history. Like, it is the location where Dolly Parton recorded I Will Always Love You, so many recording artists have recorded.
That's the song from The Bodyguard.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
I think people forget
so.
that Dolly Parton did it. She did it before Whitney Houston did it. I think
Yes, yeah.
I just think that it's just an amazing thing that you are promoting and working inside of. And I really wanted to take the time and the opportunity to shed some light on this amazing project and the amazing players and people and cosplayers that are involved with this group, putting on this just fantastic performance with cosplay. And in a collaboration with Bookbound Events. We'll keep plugging bookboundevents.com. You will find all of the things in the description. I will definitely be plugging this on Instagram as we get closer to the event, because I definitely want the local folks. And hey, even if you're not in the area, just go, drive up, take fly for it. That's it's really cool. It's really unique. Probably a little early because you haven't actually done one. You haven't done the event yet, May, but do you have more things that you're thinking about planning in terms of events, or do you think that this will become an annual event, or would you like it to?
I know that Bookbound very much would like to make this a annual event. Additionally, I've heard them discuss on some other podcasts that they've been on that their desire is, they've heard from a lot of the fans that they would love to have an event like this in their own city. Bookbound would like to down the road be able to do this in different locations, and depending on how our relationship progresses, like that's something we'd definitely be open to too. And that would just be so cool if that down the line became a possibility.
It would be very cool. And it is very cool. Friends, if you can support this online, definitely give it a look, give it a thought, check out the website, check out the genre, just go follow everybody. And of course, thank you so much for being here today, for being on the show one more time. Shelly, you're at Miss Greene in the library, but please tell us where we can find you, how we can support you and your amazing body of work online.
Yes, you can find me at Miss Greene in the library on Instagram and TikTok. You can also find me as that's not me, Lady Nesta Archeron on Instagram and TikTok. I almost said Your High Lady because that is my friend Nora's handle, yes, and I spend more time looking at hers than mine.
She does some just amazing things. I mean, all of you do. Like, everybody involved in this project is just mega talented. Very exciting. Definitely want to check out all the work. Just find Shelly, and then just find all of the things that she has posted there.
There will just be more and more content. Like I said, I'm getting props ready for our next photo shoot next week, and a number of our characters that have not been seen as the character yet will be shot next week. So just more and more of our troupe are going to be added to the page. So it's lots to come, and very exciting to just see all these pieces come together after so much work.
Very exciting. Thank you so much for sharing all of this today with everybody out in the audience and for the show, friends. This is Scotty B with Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary and Miss Greene in the library saying bye-bye.